Hi guys, and welcome to Unity tutorial of a maze developed using starter assets. So let's see what the amateur can do. The whole idea of the amateur is to be able to get on top of the cabin. So let's see if we can make that happen. There we go. So that is the whole idea of this game, for him to get on top of the cabin. If you guys like, you can even add a timer. Yeah, I have a tutorial on the timer. There we go, and it's going straight to the cabin, up onto the cabin. There we go. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to exit out, and we can put another one of these together and you guys see how it's done. So I'll see you guys shortly. Welcome to Unity 3D Maze tutorial. I'm going to start by clicking on new project, and I'll give my project a name. I'll just call it Maze, and make sure you select 3D. Click on create. Okay guys, to start with this maze, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into Windows right here and go to package manager, and we then need to get hold of the starter asset. So let's go straight into my own asset, and right here just scroll right down the following items that I need. I'm going to need this building construct. Look at it. I'm going to click on import. There we go, and click on import again. I have the building constructor in place. I also need the starter asset, so let's look for that. Scroll right down, and right here there should be three. There we go. Starter asset, third person character, this very one. It's about 69.72 megabyte. I'm going to click on import. Let's click on import again, and there we go. Okay, this warning sign will pop up while you are importing the starter asset. It's just got to do with the project itself using the new input system package, but the native platform back end of the new input system are not enabled. So for you to enable that, all you need to do is just to accept it. Say yes. Click on yes. There. And just for your information, once you click on yes, the system will restart itself. Okay, my starter asset is almost ready. I think it's ready already. So let's come in here and look for trees. And right here, I think there's some realistic trees there. It's about 15 megabyte. I'm going to click on that as well. Import. Click on import. There we go. And I'm going to now have the trees in there anyway. That's it. Let's get hold of maybe some buildings. This one is about 1.70 megabytes. So get hold of that. I will have enough asset to play around with, and just import that as well. So the choice is yours. You don't have to import as much. And I'm also going to import this simple house. It's just 200 and something kilobytes. So just click on import. There we go. And finally, let me go for White City. There, White City do have some beautiful homes that I can use. Just import that as well, and that'll be all. There we go. And that's it. So I've finished with that. I'm going to close that. The other thing that I'm going to need is I'm going to need some bricks and some patterns. So let's go straight into my own folder. I'm just going to drag that, dump it right there. There, in here I have some patterns that I can use. I only need 1 and 2, so I can delete these ones if I want. Alright, now let's continue with the development. So come right here, you see the hierarchy, right click on it and let's select 3D and select plane. and that very plane, I'm going to change the size of that plane to, let's go for 3 by 3 by 3. There we go. Now in here in the project area, I'm going to right click on, let's come into this folder that I've just imported. I'm going to right click on that folder, click on create, and I will select material, this very material. I'm just going to call that pattern. Then once the pattern is created, make sure the material is selected and click on, or come straight to the inspector. You see where we have albedo. Underneath here in albedo, select the icon there, and let's look for the pattern. And right here I have the pattern there. Just click on the pattern, make sure it's selected, close that, and there the pattern is already on the material. All I then need to do is just drag it, drop it on my plane. That is the pattern I intend to trace. Now the next thing is I'm going to right click again. Let's create another material. This material will be for the bricks. Click on material. I'm just going to change that to bricks. There we go. Select, or come straight to the inspector of that very material. Select albedo. Click on the small icon again. You have different types of bricks here. I'm amazed there's some more different types in there. I'm going to select this one that I imported. Okay, now close that. Now the bricks is in there. Okay. Alright, so the next thing I want to do now is go back to my hierarchy again. Right click on the hierarchy, go to 3D, select the cube. That is your cube right there. Okay, can move it up a little bit so that you can see it. This very cube, I'm going to change the size. So let's change the size of that cube to about 7, and I'm going to leave the y-axis as 1 and the z-axis I'm going to make that 0.3. That is good enough. So I can bring that right here and just move it to there. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, more like that. Alright, so let's do one thing first. I'm going to now grab hold of my brick material, drag it and just drop it on the cube. You see that? So let's see, it kind of like look rough. So let's see, maybe if I come here, you see the tiling. Let's see, maybe we can enhance the look of that. I just enter 2 in there. You see what happened? I think that looks a bit better. No, maybe 2 by 1. 2 by 1 seems a little bit much better. And that's maybe 3. Yeah, 3 looks more pronounced. Okay, we'll leave it as 3. Okay, so I may have to increase the length a little bit, maybe make that 8. And let's see how 8 looks like. Yeah, 8 seems to be too long. Right, maybe 7.5. Okay, that will do. Now let's copy it. You can always come up here, right click and create a duplicate. The very duplicate created, I'm going to change that to change the rotation to 90 degrees. There we go. And that I'm just going to move it over there, pull it all the way. There we go. That's good. Now let's copy this. Copy again, another duplicate, just push it over there. And this very one again, create another 9. This very one, just drag it here. Okay, but I'm gonna need some rooms in here because there's supposed to be space in there. So click on this very scale and just move it in. Yeah, there we go. So there's room here, there's one here, and there should be another one there. Okay, that will do. Right, bring that in. Okay, now I'm going to need one here and another one and another one. So let's change the whole angle. so that you can see it properly. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to copy this now and just reduce the hole. So right click again, Control, or just press Control D to create a duplicate. Yeah, I've created another duplicate in there, so let's just move it here. And this duplicate that I've created, I'm going to just scale it that much and move it here. I think it's going to need a little bit of small scaling. Just push it out. Now copy that one, Control D, bring it here. So I guess you guys get the whole idea. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of like speed up the whole process. Control D, and bring this one here, change that to 90 degrees and move it right here. Get it scaled. It's a long process, but it's a good practice for those of you who want to learn how to do something like this. There's some inbuilt one that you guys can use, but I prefer to do it my way. Right, that is fine. So I am going to speed up the whole process, but before that, you can see the bricks is kind of like I'm getting a lot of bricks on the hierarchy. So I'm going to right click in here. Let's select create empty folder or empty game object, and that very empty game object, I'm going to give it a name. Just call it maze. Now drag every single cube straight into the maze. There, see, just to tidy up. Alright, I'm going to copy this one, Control or right click, duplicate, and bring it right here. And like I said, I'm now going to speed up the whole process. But before I speed up the whole process, I'm going to do one thing. Let's copy this. I can just block that. Duplicate, just move it here. Alright, so that is fine. Close that off. Yeah, before I speed it up, I'm going to go straight into the starter assets so that we can run it and you guys see how it looks like. Look at this starter asset there. Click on the third person folder and let's click on the prefab. So right inside the prefab we need the player amateur, this very one here. So let's change this to the gizmo. Let's change it to free. Now grab the player amateur. I'm just going to dump him right in there. Okay, the player amateur is right in here now, but if we play it, we won't be able to move around that much. Though you will see him moving around, but you can't see I would like the camera to follow him around. That is him right there. Okay, so for the camera to follow him around, what I intend to do is I'm going to go to tools right here, click on the tools, and let's select starter asset, and in there you see reset third person controller amateur. Click on that. There we go. And if you see, notice the camera, you see kind of like a red triangle there, so that is to identify the cine machine attached to it. So let's run it now and see how that looks like. Let's click on run. There we go, look at it. Okay, so we can get our third person to move around now. There we go. And let's see if he can walk through here. I think that place seems to be too narrow. Yeah, it's too narrow, so I'm going to have to do something about that. And that is it. That's our maze. But one thing is, if I click on the space, you see he can kind of like jump out of the maze, and that is not good enough for me. Alright, so that's not good enough. I'm going to have to increase the size of the maze. Okay. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to speed up the whole process and I will get back to you guys shortly. Alright, so let's do that. Exit out. There we go. And speed it up. Okay guys, I've finished with the design of the maze. So let's run it and you see how that looks like. There we go, look at that. That is beautiful. So let this guy walk around. Check that out. You see, but there's one problem that I told you guys about earlier on. When he jumps, he can actually just jump above any of the walls. So look at what I'm talking about. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to exit out. Let's go to the player amateur. That's it right there. Select the player amateur and let's look for the rate at which he is jumping. Let's see, jump. The height is 1.2. That's a little bit too high, so I'm going to make that 0.4 there. So let's run it now with 0.4. There we go. Let's see how high he can jump. Look at that, he can't jump anymore. There we go. So that means he has to complete the maze. There. Okay, so what I am gonna do now, guys, I'm gonna exit out and let's start modification with the interface and so on. You see this open space, I'm gonna add some buildings, trees and so on. So let's exit out. There we go. Now first of all, let's take care of the skybox first. Okay, let's come in here and just take care of that. Yeah, you see the sky here. Let's go to Windows and select rendering, select lighting, and inside lighting you come in here and select environment. Then you see the skybox material, come right here, click on that. So let's scroll right up. Yeah, the choice is yours, but I'm going to kind of like settle for this one. Okay, I've already clicked on it and there, and just close this dialog as well. Okay, just close that. There we go. That is how the sky looks like for now. Let me run it and you guys see what I'm talking about. And right there, guys, look at that. That is beautiful. So let him walk around. Is there any other way back in? Yeah, but there's no way in there. Let's go this way. Right, that is good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let's add some buildings, trees and so on just to make it look lively. Okay, let's stop that. Right, before I add the buildings and so on, my background, that is the plane, I want to change that very background. I need more rooms for my buildings and so on. So what I'm going to do is, if you guys can still remember the building constructor, so let's double click on the building constructor itself. What I need is, I need a prefab in there. Let's go into that's what I need, the one that says land. We're going to drop that in there. Okay, so you see what's happening. So let's go to the position. I'm just going to change the position to 0 by 0 by 0. There we go. Now let's come into my plane here. That is my plane. If I run it, let's run it and you see how it's going to look like before I do any other thing. Yeah, you see what's happening? My plane and the land that I just added is kind of like struggling who will be in control. So I'm going to end that, and let's select the plane and just uncheck that, and that should take care of that. So if I run it, let's see this land. Okay, I'm going to make this size. Let's see the size of the land anyway. Just want to see how big that the land is. Let's see. That's good. It's actually huge enough for me. But the other problem is this guy can now jump. You see that? He can now jump just over there. No. So let's come back in here. It's either I reduce the rate at which it's jumping, or just move this land back down a little bit. I can say minus 0.5, and let's see what's going to happen. Minus 0.5 seems to leave some gaps underneath there. I can see that. Look at that. So let's say minus 1. Let's see what's going to happen with minus 1. If that's not promising, then we change the rate of jumping. Okay, minus 1 seems to work, so that's good. It cannot jump over it anymore. And the land as well, if you want, you can always increase the size to the scale to 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. That would be a little bit wider. Let's see how that's going to look like. Here we go, straight to the horizon. Now we can add our buildings wherever we want. Okay, so let's end that. Now I'm going to change the gizmo. Let's change it to top view, and you guys see what I'm talking about. Look at that. We have huge area to fill. Let's add some buildings to this thing. First of all, let's come in here. Let's go to White City and double click on White City. I think that is White City there. Go to the prefab buildings. There we go. Look at some beautiful buildings there. I'm going to grab hold of this one and let's dump it through somewhere here. I can't see that properly. Let's change the angle. Look at that. So I'm going to move it away from there. Just maybe place it somewhere there. Very huge. Yeah. So let's run it and see that. Let's see. Okay. That's White City for you. Alright. That seems a little bit too wide though, but seems to cover quite a bit. Alright. So let's exit out. Maybe move. Just push it back a little bit more. It should be a bit further away from the maze. Alright, so we can add some trees, even roads if we want, but remember it's all about maze. It's not about roads. Okay, exit out. Let's add more buildings. Now let's look for more high-rise building. Maybe this one. Let's place that one somewhere here. And this one here. That is good. Right, run. There we go. Okay, exit out. I'm just gonna add more buildings and make this thing looks a bit lively. Okay, let's see what kind of buildings do we want again. Let's grab hold of this one, place it right here. They don't have to look like the same, so just place that there. Alright, and some more here. I'm going to make this one 90 degrees. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's add trees to give it a bit of life. Trees and trees in there. We're going to have to add some trees into the maze anyway. Let's add some random trees around. Yeah. Control D, copy, move it that way. Right. Run. Let's see how that's gonna look like. Okay, we have some trees in there. Alright then, so let's just finish up adding those trees and I'll get back to you guys shortly. Okay guys, I have my trees in place, but there's something I need to do. Look at the whole trees. It's kind of like messy, so I'm going to come back into my hierarchy here, just create an empty game object. I will drag all the trees in there, so just call it trees. That's it right there. Select all of the trees and just drag them straight into the empty game object. There's more trees, or there are more trees there. Bring them up. Yeah, select it all and just drag them straight into your folder. There we go. I'm also going to create another one for the buildings, so you can right click and just select empty. I will call that buildings. There, grab hold of the buildings, drag them straight in there. Now it's kind of like looking a little bit tidy. That's good. We now have enough room to work. So the next thing that I want to do now, let me just run it. Double click on the player amateur first, then you guys see what I'm talking about. That's it. Let me run it. You see what I'm talking about. Okay, let's click on run. That's coming up now. There we go. There. And what I want to try and achieve is I want the amateur to be able to walk all the way and go up the roof of a cabin that I'm going to add from the starter asset. So I'm going to exit out. There. And let's go into the starter asset there. And I'm going to, let's open up environment, and inside environment go straight to the prefab, and this is the cabin that I'm talking about. I'm going to grab that, just dump it somewhere. Now we also position some of these cubes around. Let's see, maybe let's create an empty game object that I would call environment. There. And grab this and this, just move them in there. Right. And let's grab some more of this. So I'm going to speed up the whole arrangement of this, and I'll get back to you guys shortly. I think that will do really. So let's run it and see how that's going to look like. So the whole target is for him to get right on top of that very cabin. So let's come walk all the way and see. There we go. There. So that is the target. Let's keep going. And there we go. Yeah, that's fine. Keep going all the way to the cabin. See that, guys? there. And with that, I'm going to call it the end of this beautiful maze tutorial. I suppose you guys enjoy it. And please do subscribe to this channel, and you can also join to become a member of the channel. You all have a nice day now. And bye for now.